Good morning, everyone. I am Sarah Simon, and I had no tech problems so far this morning. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Appleton, Wisconsin. Good morning, Becky and Linda and Mary. Oh, cool, Mary. Have a safe trip to Madison. I'm actually heading to Milwaukee today. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Sandy and Betty. I'm so glad that you joined me this morning. And Dee, good morning from Texas. I'm sure it's much warmer there. It's actually beautiful here today. The sun is shining. It was probably about, 59 degrees when I walked. I was able to walk with my regular clothes on and not break a sweat. I was a little chilly. Good morning, Sarah. So I have 3 cards for you today, but I'm going to kind of have to watch my time as well because my sister's stepson is a senior at UW Milwaukee, and he plays on the baseball team. And today is senior day because it's their last home game. And so we're all going down to Milwaukee to watch him play in his last game. And so my parents are picking me up, I think like right around 10 o'clock. And then we're heading to Milwaukee for a noon game. And so I kind of have to watch my time because I can't run over. So I want to get right away to prizes and happy mail. Good morning, Kay. And I'm going to list off the names of the people that participated in the Creative Challenge so that if I missed somebody and you happen to be on here, you can alert me to that so that I can add your name before I pick the winner. So I have an Aline Humphrey and Mary Van Domlin and Michelle Jones and Linda Kester and Sandy Calloway, Kelly Wildenberg, Sharon Henson. There were so many pretty cards, ladies. Melanie Foy. Make sure you go back and check my Facebook page, Diane Van Grull, and see these beautiful creations. Karen Roofing, Julie Schleve, and Diane Hermson. So I'm putting these in there. I will wait to do the picking until anybody lets me know if they actually put one and I missed it somehow. With this new platform on YouTube, I have to tell you, it takes me a lot longer to figure out who has commented, who has shared, because all of the places I check YouTube Live, I check YouTube after the video is done, so that's 2 different places. I check Facebook where I originally posted the link. I check Facebook where I posted the blog post of where it was, and I also check my blog because you can comment there. So those are all of the places that I check for people to say that they shared or they commented. So it does take me quite a bit longer, and I write all those names down and do a random generator. So let's do some happy mail, then I'll get to those prizes. So, it's only 6:30 there, Melanie. I was up that early too because I had a lot to do this morning. So I received this from Julie. Oh gosh, I don't have the envelope here. But she sent me this card and she asked if I had ever seen this fold. And the lighting is not doing it much justice. I didn't put my little light on in front here. But it's one of these little easel cards. And we did do this one with the milkshake and with the owl way back when those were just coming out. So when I got this one, I'm like, let's do this one again so that everybody can remember how to do this fun little easel fold like this. Look I love that little goose. Isn't that cute? And then from my upline Kelly, I received a prize and this card came with it. And it said, it says, because you're awesome. So happy you met your January through March team challenge. Enjoy these goodies. And so I added to my team in that time and I met my sales goals as well. And so she ended up sending me some goodies that I get to play with as well. So those were the happy mail that I received. Then we have some prizes. Thank you for liking and sharing it, Melanie. Last week we made, and I don't even remember, I think we made this card first. I don't even remember. A lot of people commented that they love this card. It was super simple with that little strip. That was our challenge. And all of these flowers, well, right here, the layers that were on there were 4 layers, they all get cut out with one pass through the machine. And both of these get cut plus a big one with one pass through the machine. So Stampin' Up! Put a lot of those things together in one die so you don't have to keep running it through your machine. So that was one card. We did our little monkey card, which was kind of our sip card because we used a punch, but we didn't need to use a punch. You could fussy cut that out if you didn't have the punch. And this was the barn door that opened like that. Isn't he cute? I just love him. All right, and then we also had this birthday card, which was our book binding that used the doily and then the happy birthday greetings on it. So receiving these for commenting last week is Linda Palmer. So Linda, I do not have your address. So if you could send me a private message at createwithsarahllc@gmail, or you can send me a private message in Facebook, or you can send me a message on my blog, either one of those places. And then for sharing, so anytime you share, so Melanie said she shared, Dee said that she shared, Karen Carr said that she shared on the comments. So if you share either in Facebook, and I check there, if you share in YouTube, wherever you share, make sure you write that you share because I can't always see who shared. I can see how many people, but I can't say who they are because of some of the settings that some of you have on your accounts. So receiving these tinsel gems, this is a 3-pack. It's got some of the Misty Moonlight. I think that is Fresh Freesia. And I don't know what the green is, but or that greenish blue color. I don't know what color that's supposed to be. Maybe Coastal Cabana? I don't know. But receiving these, they seem to take on whatever color. If you put them with something that's similar to it, because they're sort of translucent, they kind of take on that color. So receiving these for sharing last week is Carol Thompson. And Carol, I don't have your address either. So if you could do the same and let me know your address in a private message, I will get these in the mail to you. And then for placing an order, anytime you place an order, and I do have my host code right below here, if you would use that, I use the hostess dollars for getting some of the prizes. So receiving, I love this stamp set. I use this on a swap, and I will be using it in one of our lives. I love greetings that are really big because when you have some designer paper that might be a little bit busier, all you have to do is cut this out in some sort of a shape and add it to the front of your card and add maybe a little bit of ribbon and you're all set to go. So this is Kindest Expressions with the sympathy. Oh, happy day. Thanks so much. Sending sunshine and rainbows. I love that. This is going to Michelle Jones. So Michelle, I will be getting this out in the mail to you. And I did hold on to your prize from last week because when you placed an order, I was like, okay, she's got a chance to win that. Plus you also did the challenge. So I was like, instead of wasting postage, I will put all of that together if you happen to win. Otherwise, I was going to put that out now. So I will get all of this in the mail to all of you. And now I didn't have anybody tell me that they did the challenge and I didn't have them in my bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the winner of our creative challenge. Again, make sure you go back to Facebook and check out the beautiful cards that those women made. So many different interpretations of that challenge. Some of them are landscape, portrait, some of them use embossing, some of them use DSP. There's a lot of different variations. So, okay, let me pick one of these. I'm not looking. Oh gosh, let's see. We'll go with this one right here. Mary Van Domlin. I think Mary won the last challenge too. Mary, you will be able to go on a $25 shopping spree with me. So it can be whatever you want for $25. So if you want ink pads or you want paper and you don't want a bundle, maybe you don't, I think you do have a machine though for die cutting, but you can spend $25 on me for free. So pick out $25 worth of items and I'll cover the shipping and the tax as well. So, all right, I think we are ready to stamp. So I'm going to flip my camera here and hope we don't get disconnected. There we go. For our first card, which is our SIP card. Now, it's SIP, it's stamp, ink, and paper, but I'm also going to be doing some heat embossing on this one. We are going to be using my Upline Kelly's $1 Million stamp set, which I think is just awesome. It's Friendship Royalty, and any of you who watch Kelly, she is a wonderful stamper. She is a great upline. She's helped me a lot with knowing the business a little bit. I contact her with all kinds of questions that I have, either from my customers or from me, that I don't know the answer to. But if you watch her Facebook Live or her YouTube Lives, she always wears a crown when she stamps. And so this just fit her perfectly. And I just loved the sayings that were on here. Your Friendship Royalty, thanks for fixing my crown. If the crown fits, they're so cute. So I decided I wanted to use this. Also, some of you might remember when we had Celebration in the fall, I believe it was, we had a bedazzled paper. This year, Stampin' Up! Has brought that dazzle. Oh, shoot. Here we go. Let's see if I can get connected right away here. There we go. I think I'm connected again. I'm still not sure why it does that, so I apologize. So this bedazzled paper, it's called More Dazzle, has gold and silver in it, not just the silver. We're going to be using the silver today because, oh gosh, when you think of a tiara, I definitely think of glitter, glitz. So we will be using this today with our card. I'm also, with that, going to be using some silver embossing powder. And I have this is an old one that I had, but I do have my Stampin' Up! You can get in the catalog a little embossing kit. I don't have the tweezers in here because I actually have what we're going to be embossing. I already have it embossed through the magic of TV. But I wanted to at least show you that you can get a little embossing kit like this that makes it really easy for doing heat embossing. I had to run and get this. All right, we are using purple today for our card. I did one the other day that had pink, and it was a little easel card. But today I decided we were going to use purple. So our card base is, and I don't have the dimensions on here, don't know why, but this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm sorry, 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2. Okay, we have some fresh freesia. This is Gorgeous Grape. Oh, there's my thing. I did have a thing. This is 4 by 5 1/4, the fresh freesia. Look at how nice those purples go together. I just love that. All right, then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. That is basic white. I have some of this More Dazzled paper. Look at that. It's almost blinding, right? Ooh. This is 3 by 4 1/4. I put it on the back because it stuck a little bit better. And then this is 3 7/8. So it's 3/8 of an inch smaller than this, so that you could see more of the little dazzled paper than just that little 1/8 of an inch. So this is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. You're seeing a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to happen. So we don't have any designer paper that goes along with this stamp set. I'm going to take all these labels off and set them over here. I do have to type all of this stuff up yet because I was designing these yet last night and I needed to get some sleep. So I will, when I get back from the baseball game tonight, I will work on typing these all up for you so that you have the dimensions available to you. I'm going to bring the stamp set in here, and we're going to use that largest tiara, and we're going to use this little, I don't know what this would be. I don't know if that's like fairy dust or pixie dust or whatever they call that, or what it's supposed to be. It's just very whimsical, and I just loved it. So we're going to use this. we're also going to use this star that has, it could be like a little wand type thing with the end, but we're going to use it both ways. We're going to use it as part of our background, and we're going to use it as a wand for our inside. So I'm going to start with my fresh freesia paper, and I'm going to bring in some Versamark, and I'm just going to randomly stamp. I'm going to make my own designer paper. Okay, something just fell, and it might be something I need, so let me pick it up. Yep, it's my bedazzled paper. I would have been looking for that going, where did that go? All right, so I'm just going to randomly stamp this little whimsical. Now with the Versamark, it is hard to see, and I'll bring this up here. You can kind of see that where that is right now, but you have to look very closely until you get the embossing powder on it. So I'm just randomly placing these. I am leaving some space because I do want to put some of the stars around here as well. So I'm just kind of, I wanted to put, since there was a big swirl here and there was a big swirl here, I didn't want to have a big swirl there. So then I made the little end and made the big swirl over on this side. So I did kind of watch that to kind of put that in different locations. And I brought my scrap paper in here because I am stamping off the edge a little bit as well. And I do have to keep like kind of lifting it up so that I can see where I stamped and where there are openings, because I didn't want it to overlap. Okay, and once you do it, if you decide after you've finished that you did need maybe a little bit more in one location, you can always go back and stamp over the top of it. Okay, I am also going to, nope, I'm not going to stamp on that. That's the only place. I did do this on my envelope as well. I can show you the envelope. Here's my envelope. We're going to stamp some stars in there to make it look like the background. Thank you for all of you who are clicking that you shared. I love that. And all of you that congratulated Mary, that was so nice of you. Now, I didn't use the embossing buddy. I should have. Our embossing buddy you can rub over before you put the Versamark down, and it helps with making sure that there's not any like static cling or fingerprint marks and stuff like that where the embossing powder might stick to that. So it just sticks to the Versamark that you stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this in a place where I don't have any Versamark, and I'm just going to generously throw embossing powder over all of that. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of pat it, and I kind of tend to flick it a little bit. I don't want to flick it too much. If you flick it too much, it takes the embossing powder that you have on there. It doesn't have it be as thick if you flick it. So I try to just tap it a little bit on the side, and if I have to, I can come in with my fingers and brush a little bit. Then what's nice about this little case is that you can just take this and open up the end and take this little, screw this off, and then put your embossing powder right back into either the little container it comes in, or I just buy these little Rubbermaid containers and put them in there for safe storing. Okay, and I have this, if you have to brush any of the powder back into there, you can. I'm going to set this aside. No, I'm not, because we're going to use this again. Sorry. So this you would heat emboss, and I'm not going to do that right now. I did that for you, and that's what that looks like. I'll show you with a little bit closer. Isn't that fun? Okay, I'm going to set this one aside because I definitely want to heat emboss that and use it for another card, because I have to do some swaps, and I'm thinking this might be my swap. I'm going to take this and kind of brush some of that off a little bit. Then, all right, so there's my heat emboss buddy. I'm going to take that crown, and we're also going to do silver embossing of this crown. Now I'm going to stamp the crown image because the crown is a little bit bigger, the tiara. I'm going to stamp it with the bring the ink or the Versamark to the stamp rather than putting the stamp in the ink. I'm going to stand up so that I can see this a little bit better. And I want to stamp it up towards the top of this layer. All right, and then again, we will use our silver embossing. Let me bring this in here. I like to be as close as possible so that I don't, but before I do this, I'm going to get this embossing buddy out of there. Ooh, look at that crown. Okay, or tiara. All right, I'm going to set that over here so that nothing gets on it because I will heat emboss that. And through the magic of TV, I have that done already. So you don't have to sit and watch me and listen more than anything to that heat embossing tool. Thank you for all of you who are writing down that you're sharing. I love it. And thanks for liking it as well. I know YouTube, there's some sort of like thing that YouTube likes it when you like, but I don't have that many people watching me as some of the other demonstrators do, so I don't think it matters much. I don't make any money off of YouTube, let me just tell you that. Okay, let me just brush this off a little bit. There we go. I'm going to actually flip it over. All right, now we're going to bring in some of our gorgeous grape. That's our other color we were using. And I'm going to bring in this background that we did. And I'm going to bring in my envelope. And we are just going to randomly place some of these stars around the background with that silver embossing powder, or those parts that are embossed. Okay, so I'm just kind of making my own background paper for this because I really didn't have a DSP that matched with it. Okay, I'm going to follow up with that on the envelope. And I think I'm going to close it and just do one up here. All right, so now my envelope is done and matches the designer series paper. I'm going to set that aside for right now. Now I'm going to bring my greetings in and I'm going to stamp the greeting that says, "To the Birthday Queen," because that fits with this, right? Oh, Michelle, you're at the airport. I heard you're having a fun weekend. I think you need to go buy a lottery ticket, Michelle, because you won 2 weeks in a row. And I heard you're getting a very nice surprise weekend from your husband as well. So that's awesome. All right, then on the inside, I'm going to stamp this a little bit off to the left. You were born to be fabulous, not perfect. Isn't that perfect? Well, the saying is perfect for this. And then I'm going to take that star and we're going to stamp it again, but this time we're going to add our little wand. I think I'm going to put that right there. I think when I did this, I did that first and then put my star over it, but it's going to work. I'm going to take a fresh freesia. Let's close this. To bring that fresh freesia color inside of the card, I just took this is a light fresh freesia Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to color that in so that it looks like those stars that are on that designer series paper. Okay, so now we have, and you could have put this down here more if you wanted to, but I thought that fits perfect. You can write over the top of that and it doesn't hurt anything. All right, we are done with all of this. I'm going to bring our rhinestones because we're talking royalty. We've got to have some little diamonds, right? Or rhinestones. All right, let's take our card base and let's put our inside in first. I think this stamp set could be used for anyone. It could be used, not men, but any type. It could be used for a little girl. It could be used for women, adult women. I was even thinking, my sister-in-law's birthday's on Monday, and she's turning 50. So I was thinking about maybe using it and putting a 50 somewhere on it, but she's the type of person that she loves to celebrate her birthday. Me, not so much. Jan, yeah, I'm so happy that the Fresh Freesia stayed too. I just love the Fresh Freesia, and I love how it goes with our gorgeous grape. I think that those two colors together look awesome. All right, then I'm going to put our bedazzled paper in the center here. There we go. Just had to give it a good shake to get it down to the tip. All right. And then this we are going to pop up on dimensionals. So let me grab some dimensionals. Ooh, I have a brand new sheet of dimensionals. I forgot that I used up all my scraps last night. I cut everything apart, and so my cards that I made last night that needed dimensionals all have cut up pieces. I had to actually start a new small. I put a lot of them on because this dazzled paper doesn't stick real well. Stuff doesn't stick real well to it. So I like to put a lot on. And I also want it to, I don't want it to sag in the middle. Okay, so to the birthday queen, you were born to be fabulous, not perfect. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add some of these rhinestones to the top of this tiara. And that's going to be quite a few of them. And the one that's on the very top, I'm going to make a little bit bigger than the other ones. I thought that just finished off this card. All right, and now I forgot to put some stars. Oh, I did put some stars on there. We already did our envelope. So there is our card. It starts with a little bit of magic already here, and then we open it up and we have this beautiful birthday card to the birthday queen. I really think I'm going to have to do something for my sister-in-law, and I'm going to have to do something with 50 on it. Maybe I'll do like an easel card, and I'll have be the 50 on the inside in the cut out in this bedazzled paper and have it stand up on the 50. That's what I'm thinking I might do. But, oh, is that fun? All right. I liked how it opened on the side like this rather than over the top. The first one I did this, and I felt like I just liked how it opened on the side better. So I redid it when I did my one for you. All right, that is our card number one. Sort of a sip card because I didn't need my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to leave these out. I didn't need my machine at all. Everything was just able to be cut. I did need a heat embossing tool though. I have some customers that before they got the heat tool, they used to put it in the oven and they used to like heat it up. I believe it was in the oven, and I think they saw that somewhere on a stamping site, and they did that. So I got one of the first things I got was a heat tool because I thought that was so cool when you saw that powder turn into that glossy image. Okay, so there is our card number one, our little bedazzled card. All right, card two, and I don't know what order I wanted to do these in, so I'm just grabbing the one that's closest to me. For the next card, we are going to be using the Darling Details, which when I saw this, I was like, oh, I don't need another flower set. I have so many flower sets. I really don't need another flower set. But then I saw the dies, and I don't have all the dies in here because we're going to be using them. Oh, I did. So I cut this one out so you could see this because we're not using this one. Look at that frame. Is that not, let me put it Here, let me put it on some white paper so that you can see it a little bit better. Look at all the little detail in that frame. Okay, then there's a littler frame, which is what we're going to be using today. And then, whoops, I need to grab the ribbon with it. There is this border die, okay, which I cut. And look at what you can do with it. You can weave through some ribbon. So I just took, this is 3/8 inch ribbon, and I found that to be like the perfect width. This is the pool party ribbon. And you just take and you weave this through these little slits like so. And it changes the color of those little flowers in between. And then you have that little ribbon going through as well. Isn't that cute? I just loved, when I saw this, I'm like, I have to have that. And they have some really cool, besides cutting out the stamped images, they have some other images that you could just die cut and use as well. So I wanted to show you that so that we're not using this feature and we're not using this larger frame. I'm going to sit this in here because I might use it at some point. This is bubblegum. This is Fresh Freesia with Pool Party. That looks kind of cool. All right, so that is our stamp set that's called Darling Details. All right, I'm going to take out, these are the dies we are going to use. Let me bring out, I have a lot in here. So let me just set this out here. Let me get my envelope. So this card we're using, again, last card we used Gorgeous Grape and Fresh Freesia. Kind of like, not monochromatic because it's not just one color, but it's kind of one color family. And that's what we're going to be doing here as well, but we're going to be using the Berry Burst along with the Bubble Bath. So we're going to have a 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. Okay, so I have this ready to go. That's Bubble Bath. And then this is some of that white center card that we talked about. So last week, Mary talked about how you could emboss this and you could kind of distress it a little bit, and that's what we're going to do with this today. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and I've already, through the magic of TV, run one of these through our Quatrefoil tile embossing folder. So this one's already been embossed. These are some scraps of white. I didn't know how much I needed, so I have several. Then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of our card. Take that off. And then these measurements are important. If you get this set and or the dies, and you want to know like what dimensions do you have to have the frame cut out. This is 2 3/4 by 3 7/8. So we're going to cut our frame out of here, and we're going to do that together. And then 1/4 inch bigger is the 3 by 4 1/8, and that will give you a nice border around your frame if you want to have that. So those are those 2 3/4. And again, I'll have these listed in the document that I type up once I get home from the baseball game today. All right, so we are good here. Let's go ahead and do some stamping. And once we do our stamping, then we'll bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and we will cut that apart. All right, so let me get my stamps. We are going to use, this is our 2-step stamping. So we have this bigger image that this is Berry Burst ink that I'm going to do the outline in that Berry Burst. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the inside part of that. I'm just going to stamp off once on some scrap paper, and then I am going to line this up, and I have to stand up so I can look over the top of the camera. Otherwise, you're going to see my head in the camera. All right, so that's what that looks like. Then we are going to take some of the Bubble Bath. I'm not done with that yet, but I'm going to put it away because we're going to take it out later. This is a little bit smaller, kind of like a partial flower. And I'm going to again do the background in full strength. And I'm going to do 2 of these. Okay, so that's the full strength. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing where I'm going to stamp off once and then line that up. This is really hard to do when you're having to look over the top of a camera. I'm just telling you. I didn't do too bad. Okay, and then we're going to take this little sprig and with some lemon lime twist. Oh, I'm loving that that is back. The berry burst and the lemon lime twist I think look so nice together. We are going to stamp 3 of these. Oh, look at that. I got it all on the one scrap. I didn't know if I was going to need another scrap or not. On the inside, let me grab this. I did need the berry burst. I almost forgot, but I remembered at the last minute. All right, let's stamp one of these flowers in the corner. Again, I'm stamping off. There we go. And let's do the bubble bath. I suppose I didn't need to cut these out with you, but we will stamp off and get on the inside of there. All right, and we'll put just a little bit of greenery. Let's just have it coming from here and maybe over here, and this one we can put up here. Okay, that's going to be our inside. Good morning, Mary. Okay, I'm going to put this stuff away until I need to stamp our greeting, because everything else that we need is stamped. So let me pop those in there to get them out of the way a little bit. I didn't need this scrap. And let me bring in my mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting, so I need the white and I need 2 cutting plates. I am going to cut out that frame from the berry burst. And I do want to center this because it's cutting out a frame, so this little edge stuff is still going to be there. And that's why I needed to make sure that I had it. So what I did to figure out that size is I ended up cutting it on a bigger piece of paper, and then I cut it down to find out what size I wanted it. That looks pretty straight there. Okay. Run that through my machine. That inside's going to come out. Look at these little things. I had those all over the place. When it is still in your die cut, you could use your brush. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll put it back in here, and I'll show you. I just take this and run this. This is an attachment that you can add to your Take Your Pick tool. And I didn't get the new attachments. Did everyone see those new essential attachments? Oh, one is like a cutting blade. And I'm going to just take a little pokey tool here and pop out the rest. Most of them came out with just that little tool. Now, if you don't have this little tool and you're like, I don't want to get a die like that because I don't want to have to pop all those little dots out, if you use a little bit of wax paper and you put the wax paper between your die and the paper, it will actually help with taking out all of those little dots as well. Okay, so isn't that frame cute? I think it's worth it. All right, I have little dots everywhere, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna just brush this off in my garbage can quick. I have a garbage can right next to me, one of those little pullouts that you have in the kitchen, which is wonderful. All right, I'm gonna have to cut this because this piece is just a little bit too big. All right, then we have dies to cut these out. I'm looking for this little, that right there is what I match up when I'm doing these. Okay, so that's gonna match up there. And then we have our greenery. And I can run these through at the same time. You can do multiple things. Now, if I had my bigger machine, I could probably put that other piece on there and we could cut all of it at once. I opted just to have my little machine here for cutting this morning because it doesn't take up as much of my desk space when I'm doing my videos. Okay, and I wanted to cut this with you to show you how easy it is to line this up and to cut these flowers out. Okay, I could have cut this all last night and through the magic of TV had it all done, but I always like to do every once in a while, especially when I have a new die set or anything like that. I like to be able to show you so that you have an idea, because if you're going to purchase something, you want to make sure that it's going to be something that's easy to use. So this is definitely an easy one to use. I got one more green that we're going to cut out. I think I only did 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I did. Oops. I find with my little machine, I don't know about anybody else, but I find with my little machine that my plates don't tend to warp as much as they do in the bigger machine. And I don't know why that is, but by not warping, I feel like the dies lay a little bit flatter and that I don't have to use tape to tape the dies in place so that they don't move. So if I can, I oftentimes will use my little machine if it works for what I'm cutting out. Because, like I said, my plates, I don't know if it's just, and I haven't gotten new plates. These are my originals from when I first got this mini machine, and it has been used a lot. And the plates still are not warped. They're normal, like when I got them. They have marks and stuff on them, but they're not beveled or anything like that. Okay, that's all we have to cut, so let's put this away. And let's go ahead and bring all of our stuff together, and I'm going to put these dies back in the bag so that I do not lose them, because that's the reason I bought this flowered stamp set, is because of the dies. I just loved them. All right, let's bring our card back together. Now, before we put this all together, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this background piece. I am going to take this is just like it's like a nail file type thing. You can use a nail file. This is like where you can file, or you could use sandpaper. And all I'm going to do is lightly brush over the top of this. And because this is some of the white centered paper, this comes in Azure Afternoon, Night of Navy. I think there's Lemon Lime Twist in there. I think there was Bubble Bath, and then this is the Berry Burst. See how it just changes that background? Isn't that cool? So that's what Mary was talking about last week when she said you can use that core paper not just to tear it and get the white edge, but you can also emboss it and then just run something that has like a sand, like a nail file or something over the top of it to get that look. All right, we are ready to put our inside of our card. Oops, and I want that down in this corner. right, and then I'm going to put this background piece on there. Kind of almost looks, instead of looking white, it almost looks like it's got bubble bath because you're putting it next to the bubble bath. And I think it might be because, although it's white inside, because the fibers that we're scraping off of it are this berry burst, it might just be bringing some of that color, you know, leaving some of that color on there and just lightening it a little bit. All right, then what we're going to do is I'm going to set this aside and we are going to build our other piece. So I'm going to take this bubble bath piece and see how that goes right on there. Now before I glue it down, I am going to stamp my image, and I'm doing it before I glue it down because if I make a mistake, if I get like a halo or something like that, I can always flip the paper over and I don't have to re-die cut this. So I'm just kind of lying it down, whoops, dry fitting it where it's going to go. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp my thank you. So this is going to be a nice thank you card for somebody. All right, and I did a pretty good job there. And now I can go ahead and glue this down. How am I doing on time? 9:50. Oh, pretty good. The last card that I have, although it's a fun fold, because the other two cards weren't really fun folds, they were more layouts. It's an easy card. It's just that fun fold that I showed you that I had received from Julie. That little goose one. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this lemon lime twist ribbon, and remember how I said I'm not somebody who can do this really well? Well, I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to put a strip of, this is the Stampin' Seal Plus, so that I have something for it to set on, and I want it to come off the edge just a little, and then I want it to come up here, and then I want it to come back, so I'm going to press it in there, and then I want it to come back again, and I'm just basically making like a little weave of the ribbon, and then take my ribbon scissors and cut that off here. I know that looks really funny right now, like why would you put that ribbon like that in the middle of your paper? But our flower is going to come down here and it's just going to kind of stick out on either side of the flower. Okay, and I could have actually gone a little bit further with both of them, but I was just kind of eyeballing it. I'm going to put dimensionals, I left them out, on my flower, but I'm going to put them towards the center of the flower so that I can stick in some of my greens as well. So we're going to pop this one up here, kind of in the corner, with the green coming out there. And then I think I'm going to take some minis. And I know I said put them towards the corner, but because this is going to be kind of tucked in here, I put those a little bit more towards the base. And then same thing here. Okay, so I'm kind of mimicking what I did on the inside of the card. And then I'm just going to take some glue dots. I like to, whenever I have like little leaves that I need to stick in somewhere, I always like to sort of pop those in afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that one underneath there. And I might actually even tear that little end part off to make this a little bit shorter, just because I don't know if I can stick it all the way in. And I don't want it to be the exact same length as that one. I want it to be a little bit smaller. Okay, so see how that looks like that. And then I have one more that we're going to stick down here. And I wanted the green from the ribbon to be kind of in the middle there. Let's see. That looks good like that. Okay, so there's our little floral image. It looks like we've got some parts missing here. We're going to fix that up with a gem, okay? So don't worry about that. I am going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. I just loved that little, all of the dies from this one. And like I said, it's not like I really needed another floral punch or floral stamp set because God knows I have a lot of them. But I do have to say Stampin' Up! Has really made an effort to come out with some different things besides flowers. They've got some different animals, and we've had some fruit, and there's a kiwi one, we've got the lemon or the citrus one. So there are some different things that you can use as well. I'm going to put this sort of on an angle rather than doing it completely straight. I just kind of like how that looks. And then the gems that I decided to use, where did I put them? Here they are these adhesive back sparkle gems. So there's gold, there's like a white sparkly, and then there's black. And so I just thought that I haven't used these yet, and I wanted to see how they looked. And when I put them on this card, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. I would think these gold ones would look really nice with that more dazzled gold paper too. So I'm going to take some of the little ones on the top, and I'm going to add them as, of course they don't want to come off. Let's use our scissors here. I'm going to use those in the center of these little flowers, the littler ones on the side. And then I'm going to take one of those big ones, and I'm going to set that up here. And then I think, I didn't do this on mine, but I think I'm going to put, let's see. Let's put a couple more. Why not? Dazzle it up a little bit. Okay, so there is our finished thank you card. All right, lots of room to write something on the inside. Now we have to do something with our envelope, so let's go ahead. Last time we did the flap. Let's just put one of those stamps in the corner here. Let's do the big one with a little green. We don't have to do the whole thing with all three flowers. We could just do, you could if you wanted to, but let's just do this one stamp. Stamp off. I'm going to stand up again. I tend to stamp when I'm stamping on my, or stand when I'm stamping on my own, when I'm not doing my Facebook live or my YouTube lives. Okay, and then let's bring our green in, and let's just add a little bit of green to this. I think that's good for the outside. We don't have to do the bubble bath as well. Whoops, there goes my glue. Okay, so now we've got an envelope that will match our thank you card. All right, so that is our card number 2 with another new set that I could, oh darn. See, I do this stuff all the time. I will fix that up. I can use my, I can use this and get rid of that. This is just a sand eraser. And I don't even think anybody's going to see this little bit that's on there. So, oh, goodness gracious. All right, so that is our card number 2. Our thank you note with our new Darling Details stamp set and die, so bundle. All right, and using that white center or that white core paper. Again, I still can't believe what I thought that was. I don't know, I guess before when I've seen that paper, it's always, like Mary said, it's always been called like a white core, not a white center. So I was figuring white center. Oh gosh, whatever. All right, last card is going to be a fun fold like that goose card. And I'm going to use another stamp set that I had to have because with working on a private school, there's a lot of times that I want to send some things that are more religious in nature. And so I needed to have this stamp set right here when I saw it. Courage and faith. So trust in the Lord with all your heart from Proverbs. May the Lord bless you and keep you from Numbers. In everything give thanks from Thessalonians, and be of good courage from Psalm. And then it has these little things that you can put on either side of those sayings. So I'm going to go ahead and be using this stamp set. Right away when I saw the shape of the stamps being long like that, I thought of our Countryside Corners dies. And of course, with the Countryside Corner dies, you also have that stamp set, which is one big stamp set. So again, I'll give you we're going to use the inked and tiled designer series paper for this. And I do have a piece to do my envelope. So I tried to do the envelopes a little bit different and not tape or glue designer paper on every single one. So this is Lost Lagoon. And I lost, it also lost the Post-it note that I had with it that said the dimensions, but I can tell you what they are. This is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 2 1/8, and 4 1/4. Okay, so 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. Sorry about that. This, why don't I have one on this either? This is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be for the inside. All right. This is 2 3/4 by 4. We're going to stamp on here and die cut this piece. I'm pairing this because of the paper. This is the designer paper we're going to be using. So these each are 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and I'm pairing this Lost Lagoon with the Calypso Coral. All right, and these are each 2 by 5 3/8. I cut out one of the Countryside dies already. This was 2 3/4 by 4 before I cut it out, same as this one. I have some of the designer paper for the edge. This one's 5/8 by 5 1/4, and this one is 3/4 by 5 3/8. I have my two little mechanisms. Actually, this paper is not 4 by 5 1/4. It's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I found it. Okay. The little mechanism to help us with standing up our front. Each of these are 2 by 2, and I scored them at 1 inch on one side of each of them. Okay, you might remember when we did this one, I said you could use anything. I think we used a rectangle for one and a circle for another. And then this is also one of those Countryside dies, and this ended up starting as 3 by 1 1/2 before I cut it. All right, let's start by stamping this, and I have our die cut machine here yet. We can cut that. So I'm going to ink this up with some of the Calypso Coral ink. So again, I always just put my ink pad to the stamp when the stamp is this big. And what I'm going to do is I want that floral edge, so I want to make sure that this is covering the floral edge. I didn't need anything else, but I cut my paper just a little bit bigger to make sure that I got all of the edge that I needed. So I'm going to just go ahead and press down on here. You just use a piece of scrap paper. And we'll pick this up. Okay, and so I've got more here than I need, but we're going to go ahead and use our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again. So we'll open this up. And we're going to use, so this is the one that I cut the Very Vanilla in. This is the one that we're going to cut this one in. And then I cut up the Calypso coral in with this fourth one. All right, so we'll put our machine here. Throw that on there. And I'm going to cut around that border that has the floral image. I'm going to stand up so I can make sure I have this centered. Looks pretty good, even though I was at the side with it. All right, and we'll run this through our machine. And again, I could have done that ahead of time, but it really doesn't take that long. And I wanted to show you how to use the stamp set. So there is that. I will put this die back in my thing so I don't lose it. All right, and we'll get these out of the way. I am going to take this little one that we had. This was the second smallest, I guess. And this is some Lost Lagoon ink. And we're going to use the saying, trust in the Lord with all your heart. That looks pretty good. For my inside layer, now there's going to be some designer paper to the right of this, so I want to keep my stamp a little bit to the left. So with this saying, trust in the Lord with all your heart, on the inside, I just wanted to put a thinking of you. And Mom, if you're still watching, you can get one of these. I promise I'll share one of these with you. Okay, so thinking of you. Thought that fit perfect with that. Now there's going to be paper here, so I didn't feel like I needed to do any other floral image or anything like that. At first I thought about using some of these images on either side of it or underneath it or over the top of it, but once you put that paper on here, it felt like it was enough. Okay, and I thought this would be a perfect card if somebody's going through a hard time because it stands up. It's an easel card. What a perfect way for them to be able to keep that standing up and kind of just to look at trusting the Lord through their difficult time. Okay, we are ready to put this card together. It really is not a difficult card to put together. All right, so along the side, we are going to layer this Calypso coral along with some of our designer paper. Now, if you wanted to, in the examples that I had made, remember my glue fell on the floor before. In the examples that I had made when I did this the first time, when I used this fold the first time, we used two different patterns of designer paper. We did one along the side and we did one in the front of the card. And if you wanted to do that, you could. I liked how Julie's card that she sent to me used the same paper. And so I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the same paper. So this is what our easel is going to rest on. So this does have to have dimensionals. Actually, I think I'm going to use some big dimensionals. I used a little last night when I was making it, and it's like, I think the bigger ones would fit. And again, I'm putting quite a few of them on here. You probably wouldn't need this many, but because the front of that card is going to be resting on it as an easel card, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going anywhere. Okay, and this is just going to line up. Again, I'm going to stand up along this edge. Okay, and once that is there, we can go ahead and I'm actually going to fold or burnish this quick with my bone folder before I have that in there. And sometimes when I'm going to do an easel card, I will burnish it both ways so that it really is easy to fold. Okay, this is going to go right inside of there. And it just is going to have like a 1/16 of an inch around the outside because I wanted it to match what I was doing on the front. And I only had a real small border of the Lost Lagoon on the front. So that's going to pop in there when it stands up. Now, before I put the designer paper on here, I have to put my little mechanisms that my front label is going to be on. So these were 2 by 2, and I scored them at 1. And the little fold in them is going to butt up with that score line in the middle. And we're just going to glue these both down like this. Now, I think, Julie, when I looked at yours, you had used some circles rather than squares. And you could use whatever shape you want to do this. You just have to have 2 things that fold and that you can attach the paper to. Okay, so if you wanted to do 2 circles, if you have something that this needs to be 1 by 1, you know, like your image is smaller. Did I freeze? Oh, all right. Sorry about that. My battery is running low. Let me go get my charger. I used my charger in the other room. I'll be right back. Oh, goodness. I used my charger in the other room the other night, and I completely forgot that I didn't have it plugged in. There we go. We are plugged in. Oh, goodness. Good thing we didn't lose you. I didn't lose you before I finished the card. All right, I was saying that you could use anything that you want for the center. So I'm using a square. You could make a 1.5 by 1.5 instead of a 2 by 2. You can use whatever you want. You just need to have something that is attached to the card and that has a flap on top that you can attach whatever you want to stick out when you pop this up. So we're going to put our image that's going to pop out on here. This could be a circle scored in half, could be a square, whatever you want. Okay, once I have these in place, these panels that we cut are going to be what covers those little pieces that we have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach these to the Calypso coral. Oh goodness, I'm so glad that I saw that it froze up. I'm sorry about that. I'll keep my charger in here and make sure I'm plugged in. My computer's plugged in. Last week it was my computer, I think, that wasn't plugged in, and I got a notice that my battery was running low. It does take a lot of battery to run this show. Whoops, let me get up here. Okay, so again, there's just a very tiny little border around the outside of that, and then these are just going to be attached to each of these panels. Okay, so now I'm hiding that part on the bottom. Okay, so I'm putting this on over the top so I could kind of hide that little piece that I did, and just this front part's going to show. And we're actually going to cover that up with our label too. So you want to make sure whatever you use here is going to be small enough that when you, like I'm putting this over the top of that, so it's going to hide all of it. If this was skinnier, I would have to make these shorter. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so got that on there. Then I'm going to attach this to our Calypso coral layer. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this up on some dimensionals to give it a little bit of height. Again, I don't like saggy things. That should be good. Should have more than enough here. I think I used the minis last night. because I started a new sheet. And at this point, I didn't have any of the big ones left. I'm going to line that up inside of there. So I'm covering up all those other lines so that I just see that little floral image. And then I'm going to take this and set it down, and I'm going to adhere or put glue on these little tabs, and then center this where I want it. And then press that down. Okay, so that'll stand up like that on its own. It's a little easel. And then I thought it just needed a little bit of something yet. And so we have some of this Lost Lagoon ribbon. And what I decided to do was just to tie a real tiny little bow. Wouldn't be a YouTube live if I wasn't tying at least one bow live on TV or computer. So, oh, Linda, yeah, I think that the set is perfect for things for church. I agree. And it's just a single set, so it doesn't have any dies. It can be used with like so many different things. And I'm just going to pop that bow right up on the top of there with a glue dot. And there we go. All right, so this will pop, this will fold, and then that greeting will just pop out like that to stand up. And then on the inside it says, thinking of note, I probably could have put this down first and centered that a little bit better. I knew I had to keep it to the left, but I guess I would suggest putting this strip down so you know where it is so that you can completely center it. Now, if I wanted to cover up for that, I could put some sort of a floral image or something on the side, but I think it's nice just simple like this. But what a great way to give something like this to someone, like I said, if they are going through a difficult time, to have this like where they can set it up on their kitchen counter, and every time they go by it, they can see, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Yep, I need to do that. So I just thought that it was a great, when I saw her and she asked me, have you ever done this? And I'm like, yep, I have, but it's been a while. Let's go ahead. She was my inspiration for this card. I've been wanting to use this set because I knew I would use it a lot with my job. But hello, Mary Stamps. So that is card number 3. And I do have a very vanilla envelope along with some of the designer paper that we can just go ahead and put some of this on here. I just took whatever I had left, so I think it's more than I needed. Yes, it is. I should have cut like a little half-inch strip off of there. I just grabbed what was in my paper pile there with this paper. All right, so there's our card number 3, which is that easel card. And then our card number 2, again, if I clean this up, goodness, I have lots of Post-it notes that I have to get through when I get back from that baseball game. Oh, my mom and dad are going to be here in about 15 minutes. I have to clean up fast. All right, here is our card number 2. And then our card number 1 was our birthday queen. Which is your favorite? Do you have a favorite? I just wanted to feature, so we've got 3 different, these 2 are standalone stamp sets, and then this one is a bundle. So those standalone stamp sets, you can either pair them, like I did here with some of the designer paper, or here I ended up making my own designer paper with the stamp set. So I just thought I would show you a couple of different things that you can do with standalone stamp sets. If you don't have, let's say, a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, those might be the things that you tend towards. Or if you do and you want to do something with a bundle you have that option as well. All right. Oh, I'm back. Now, next weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and I am going to be up at the cottage with my family. And so for this summer, I tend to move to a weekday. I'm leaning towards Tuesday as a day because sometimes I take Monday off of work as a vacation day, and I either stay at the cottage an extra day, or I go home late on Sunday so that I have Monday to do laundry and all of that kind of stuff before I start my work week on Tuesday. And so I'm thinking that Tuesday is going to be my day. So right now I'm planning on Tuesday the 30th, so the day after Memorial Day, as doing my next Facebook Live. I'm planning right now 6:30. I hope that would give us enough time, give you enough time to do fun things after work, eat, all that kind of stuff, and then still join me at like around 6:30 on Tuesday. If we find that that's not a good time, we can always take a look at when would be a better time. So I think that's it for today. I'm going to go quickly run and get some shoes on and use the restroom before we have to go to this baseball game. And I have a whole bunch of cardstock that I have packed that I can bring with me in the car because I can't waste 4 hours in a car this weekend. I have way too much to do. So I'm going to be cutting cardstock and getting ready for all of my swaps. I designed them, so now all I have to do is make them. So I'm going to be using all of the time in the car so that when I get there, I can really enjoy my time with my family and not think of all the things that I need to be doing at home. So I hope that you guys have a great week. I hope you find some time to be creative. I hope you find some time next weekend to spend some time with family on the holiday weekend. And I think that's it. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and I will see you a week from this coming Tuesday. I'll see you a week from then for my next live. Thanks, and have a great day and weekend. Bye-bye.